You just got to be big. And the rest of this season now is going to be so hard for them. There was an outside chance of a Champions League because it's knockout football. The better teams in it, barring Liverpool, have not been at the same standard this year. So that opened the door up. There was always an outside chance. But with no attackers, I just don't see, I can't see it. And I do feel like it's a top 4 race for them now. And it's an interesting one. I mean, people won't adjust their expectations on Arsenal. People won't say, well, expectations change in the season when you're pushing for top 4, then you're in a title race. They probably won't do the same thing now for Arsenal. But that's rivals being rivals and haters being haters. So I understand that. But it's a crazy time. And there was a comment that came in through earlier. It says, Terry is gutted. I am gutted. And I'll tell you why I'm gutted. My football team is crap. My football team is awful. And I get very little enjoyment out of watching them play at the moment. But I'm a Man United fan and I still will. But I work in football. And a big part of my job is watching the top 4 of the title race. I work in football. And yeah, of course I don't want Liverpool to win it. But if you go back and look at the seasons where it was Liverpool versus Man City for the title, I still enjoyed the races. The bit I'm gutted about, and as much as rivals in the moment right now, it's probably fun to celebrate Arsenal's demise. I get it. But it means we have 3.5 months left of a Premier League season that's now dead. There is a top 4 race that involves teams, and I'm talking the top 6 perspective, what I cover. Chelsea fans are disengaged. City fans are disengaged. Spurs and Man United fans are on holiday, by and large. You had Arsenal fans and Liverpool in a title race, and I think that's done now. So from an entertainment point of view, I feel like the Premier League season's over. That is what I'm gutted about. On a real level, I feel like the competitiveness is just gone. Liverpool could lose the next 2 games. I don't think Arsenal got the firepower to win enough matches now to overtake them. So the season is almost futile now. So yes, as a football fan, and as someone who makes content on the Premier League and the title race, yeah, I'm gutted because it's dead. It's over in February, which if you're a Liverpool fan, this is amazing. And I get it. And if I was in a Liverpool fan's position, I'd be buzzing right now because you know you're winning the league from this point. But I will openly admit, of course, as a football fan and as someone who covers every game in the title race, partly my job as well, this is now boring because even if Liverpool lose, there's going to be very little excitement because there's no race. So, yeah, for me, yeah, 100%.
It's not over yet. I think you guys are being dramatic.
No, it's over. It is over.
Even if we beat Everton today, can I speak? Even if we beat Everton today, it's still not over. It's still not. Listen, Arsenal are still in a title race. Forest are still in a title race until they're not. That's just the reality. You can laugh all you want. And this whole doing this whole thing where we just sit up here and go like, oh, we won the league in February. No, we haven't won the league yet. It's still a title race. We have a lot of difficult fixtures left. I'm not going to be celebrating a league title in February. This is just bullshit, to be honest with you. So I'm going to have to wait. Arsenal have a very easy run-in. Even without Havertz, they're expected to beat those teams. Like, they have a very easy run-in. They're playing Leicester. They're playing West Ham. Their only difficult fixtures are really Forest and Anfield. Other than that, every single game is winnable. Quite literally, every single game is winnable, even without Havertz, to be honest with you. So what I'm not going to do is sit up here and say title race is done. But it's not. It's not done. And yeah, Sean, it's not all attackers out. Sterling is available. Trossard is available. And who's the other guy? Martinelli is going to be back soon. I think he's going to be back in a week or a week and a half. And they've got Nwaneri available as well. And there's another guy. There's someone I'm forgetting. I don't know who, but there's someone who as well else who's available. So yeah, it's not. They're not all out. We had no fit senior center back, but it's not the same exact example because it wasn't forwards.
Bro, title is over, bro. Just if you lose it from here, it's a massive capitulation from Liverpool. Which there is no evidence for me to sit here and say that Liverpool will absolutely fall off like this. Arsenal without Saka, without Havertz, they have no teeth, bro. It's Raheem Sterling and Trossard, and a youngster called Issa Nwaneri. So have some shame, Sam, and sometimes just be a man and sit on the stream and say that we're massively favorites. If we don't win it from here, we're bottlers. That is what it is now. You're massively favorites now with these injuries. Are you really gonna not sit here and say you're massively favorites? And Arsenal is still in it, or Nottingham Forest are in it. Nottingham Forest are not winning the Premier League title. They're behind you by 9 points, if I'm not mistaken.
And look, the reason I got frustrated at the beginning is because that listen, and I apologize for getting angry at you, Sam. I know we're boys. I know you don't take it personally. I'm so tired of that conversation about Liverpool because it always gets twisted. And it's a bit like when I talk about Pep right now. I haven't expected Pep, with all the problems at City, to go and win the league title. What I've demanded from him is the same standards I'd put on any top manager, any top team, is make a team competitive still. So I have that same energy now for Arsenal. I don't expect them to win the league from this point. They weren't my favourites anyway to win the league this year. City were. Then you overtook that. So they're not even the favourites. But what I still think they should do is make the top 4 from this point. What they should still do from this point is be hard to beat. They should still win the majority of their games. That, I'm making no excuse for that for Arsenal. If they suddenly lose the next 4 matches, I'm not going to say what's okay because they've got no attackers.
Yeah, like if they lose to Leicester, you won't make excuses.
No, exactly. But that's why the Liverpool example triggers me. Something chronic is because at the time, what the criticism was by and large is, hang on, you're playing centre-backs. You're playing central midfielders as centre-backs, and you've got centre-backs on the bench that you're not playing. Your team's disjointed and getting beat. The second Klopp went back to playing everyone in the right position. So, for instance, if he decides to play Mourinho as a number 9 and they start losing games, right? Declan Rice is now the 10, right? And Mourinho is now the number 9 and they're losing games because the team's disjointed. I'm not going to go, well, that's because of injuries, because what Arsenal do have, and I don't know their names, by the way, I'm not an Arsenal fan. They've got strikers and attackers in their academy that they can use as an example. And I still think you are better off 9 times out of 10 putting square pegs in square holes than taking a player completely out of his position, but then at the same time weakening the midfield, and then weakening what we'll do is we'll put Saliba into the central midfield area, and then we'll move this fullback into this area, and suddenly now the whole team's disjointed. What Arsenal now need to do is play their strongest players in their strongest positions, so they're still a good shape, still hard to break down, still hard to beat, and then sort of hope a little bit that the attackers they've got and a few kids that they should now be given chances to can deliver and get those goals, because that's what they've got. So that's why
all managers do that, though. Like, I'm not even making this an Arteta thing. All managers do that. Like, with the Klopp thing, like, managers will always prefer experienced players over youth. So he went with Fabinho and Henderson at centre-back first. And it didn't work out, and he started dropping points. But even like you could see with Pep Guardiola, it's not like he's getting a random DM from the academy. He's playing Kovacic over there. He's playing Rico Lewis over there. Does it cost him in games? Yes, but managers will always prefer experience. Pep Guardiola did the same thing. Arteta this season, playing Partey right back, playing Trossard in the 10 instead of Nwaneri. There's plenty of examples of him not trusting the youth. And when he did trust the youth, like the Lewis Skelly thing, it worked out. But the truth of the matter is, I don't actually criticize Arteta too tough for that, because I think with like all managers, and this is not like, and this is not just like a Pep or Klopp or Arteta thing, they always will prefer like experience in different position over the youth. That's
yeah, but there are some positions that you cannot play Declan Rice as a striker. You can play Trossard as a striker, Sterling and Nwaneri, but it's impossible to play Thomas Partey as a striker.
He didn't put a DM
okay. You're so disingenuous, because that always happens in football. Always DMs always play.
Hang on, I've got the same.
That's literally my point.
Hang on a minute. You see what you just did there, though, Hassam? You wanted a specific point to your point, but when we asked you a specific question, you went in a different direction.
No, because your specific question has never happened in the history. But what I can have from an example of the past is a example of where a different position was all out till the end of the season and the same grace wasn't given.
No, it's different. It's different. I'm not going to give you that. I'm not going to give you that. He's wrong, bro. Having a DM playing center back, it always happened in football throughout the history of the sport, starting from Lothar Matthäus back in the 90s, bro. But having a DM or a midfielder or a center mid playing a striker is completely different. I'm sorry.
Who's going to play striker against Leicester?
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Before we go on to that, Sam, before we go on to that, Sam, before we go on to that, I've seen Michael Carrick play a centre back. Casemiro's played at centre back. I've seen DMs do it. The point is this: when you say no one gave us any grace, us three are talking. So it's us. We're giving our opinions here. Like I gave Liverpool grace. I just criticised the fact that your manager had options that he didn't take. The same as I'm giving the same criticism now to Pep. Pep has had we saw it last night. Now the injury stopped it. He basically inverted one and put a central defender in midfield, and they look quite good. I know they conceded some early chances, City. Then they look really good. Injuries happened, they fell off a little bit. And I remember City fans telling me for 2 months, "Oh, we can't put any of our centre backs in midfield. This won't work and that won't work." And it was just excuses for Pep. He could have tried it sooner. And I think he kind of stumbled upon it last night. And had Akanji not got injured, maybe the game would have been a little bit different. But that's for later in the show.
Why did Liverpool lose the league last season, Terry? Why? Last season. Forget back in the day. Last season, why did we
combination. Injuries, of course, played a part, which they always do. But I think the biggest reason you guys fell off last year is your manager lost his energy. And it's been a conversation this year of, oh my God, it's embarrassing for the other EPL managers if Slot wins the title in his first season. And I think there's some merit to that claim. I think what it really shows is how much Klopp underachieved last year and how much him losing his energy and focus cost you a potential league title. So as much as, and that's why I would say to Liverpool fans, be careful that narrative you push about Slot showing up the other managers. He's showing up with the exact same squad. How poor a job Klopp also did last year. And of course, injuries played a part. But the issue you've got if you just like focus on injuries stopping you from winning the league, it also becomes the only reason you won the league this year is because Arsenal have got injuries. It isn't, but I'm saying that's why I don't think whenever you're creating,
that's what the Arsenal fans are saying. Like,
but no, that's what the fucking trolls are saying. Egal, and I don't mean it rudely towards Egal. We're not having that conversation. Forget what idiots say. And I'm not saying Egal's an idiot. I'm talking about the trolls here. Forget their nonsense because that's what they do. Like, let's have a grown-up conversation about this instead of I'm going to tell you what United Trey said or LFC.
Yeah, but the reason I'm bringing this up is the energy. Like last season, I just have the stats, right? It's gonna take me 3 seconds. Matip 28 games, Thiago Bacchetić out to the end of the season, Bradley 27, Tsimikas 25, Jota 17, Konate 16, Jones 15, Robertson 15, Gravenberg 12, Trent 12, Alisson 10, Gomez 6, Salah 6, Szoboszlai 6, McAllister 6. All of these were our injuries last season, and with the VAR stuff as well. Last season, Liverpool were factually, not me making stuff up, factually the team done dirty most by VAR. So, and now we're talking about the energy, right? I said last season, Liverpool are the real bottle jobs. Why? Because I didn't say last season that hear me out. I didn't say that injuries and VAR is the reason why Liverpool didn't win the league. And I didn't say Klopp's energy. I said we didn't come into the season preparing to fight for the title. And in the January window, and Mo's my witness and you're my witness, I said we should have strengthened our side. And had we strengthened our side and made signings, we would have ended up winning the league even with those injuries and those VAR decisions.
Sam, but this is the thing. This is my frustration. We've had these conversations. I know all of this. You didn't blame one thing.
Yeah.
You were balanced. So that's my frustration. I know you're balanced. You know that I'm balanced, barring a little bit of banter we have. So let's just have a balanced conversation and ignore LFC, AFC, MFC, MCFC, Trey, and all those Twitter bots.
Because no, but I am. That's the final point. I'm saying right now, would you say the Cronkies and Arteta together, without specifically putting a fault on one, is the main reason why Arsenal in this position? Both of them.
Yeah, the
institution, basically.
Of course, they've got to take a bit of blame on that. There's no doubt. So the players, because I think the players in certain games have missed opportunities to win matches that would give them more points, that would give them more faith at this particular moment.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
This is what I mean
before you go on to the super chat,
this is what I mean by balance. Terry forgets last season our midfield was totally new. Now he's trying to claim Klopp underachieved. But what you're doing, Ola, is you're taking. I didn't just say it was about Klopp, did I? I also mentioned your injuries playing a very big part. You've then brought up the signings were new and time to fit in and blend in. It's also a point. I didn't say Liverpool's failings last year were 100% on Klopp, but that's what your brain has heard because of cognitive dissonance. It's not a balanced conversation that you're having because I never said that.
Okay, before we go on to the super chat, Hossam, I really want to understand. So what is your point? Like you said, you're not showing the energy. So I want you to land your point.
Oh,
because I think I agree with you. Because I think I agree. I think you haven't actually said the statement.
Yes, and that's thank you.
That is the problem with this conversation. Yes,
so
the land now.
The plane landing, and I think Mo will agree, and probably even Terry will agree.
Yes, land now.
You don't plan to fail. You fail to plan. Arsenal went into the season knowing that Jesus, Sterling, these players are your backup players, right? We already know that. Now, when the season happens, when the transfer window happens, this is where you have the capability of changing your squad. One thing we can blame Arteta for 100% is we know this for a fact with all Arsenal journalists, with him himself, is Havertz is the hill he's willing to die on. He's his starting striker in Arteta's plans. This has been like a public thing. We already know that. That's the reason why they aren't like looking at signing a whatever striker. Like even when you speak to Arsenal fans, they're like, oh, Havertz is going to start. I've had an Arsenal fan tell me Joker is going to be a bench player for Havertz. So I'm looking at the Arsenal season this season, and I think they have failed in the transfer window to address the biggest problem that they have. And had they went out in the transfer window and signed a forward or signed a winger or signed a difference maker, once again, I'll bring up this example because it hurts me just as much as it should hurt the Arsenal fan. Kvaratskhelia moved to PSG for £50 million. That is a player that could play across the front three, difference maker, could have easily signed him. Because he's an upgrade on all your players. He's better than Saka himself, Kvaratskhelia. That's how highly I rate him. So when it comes to Kvaratskhelia, as an example, that's an example of a player that Arsenal could have signed within FFP means. That's not too expensive. For £50 million. You know, if you called Napoli, gave them 45 and 15 in add-ons as an example, you could have signed him. So when it comes to Arsenal, the overarching perspective is injuries and VAR is not the reason why Arsenal didn't win the league. Same energy for my club last season. The reason why Arsenal didn't win the league is Arteta, board, players underachieving, which I said about my own players last season, Nunes, Diaz, etc. Arteta, in terms of not rotating enough, and Kroenkes in terms of not spending money. That's the
so you are saying. So basically, I agree with you. If Arsenal don't win if Arsenal in the season trophies, which looks like it, right, as of now, it's a failure of a season, no context added.
100%.
Right. And that is the main point that some of the Arsenal fans don't understand. You comes end of May, 31st of May, Arsenal have not won a trophy, and here we go next summer again. Oh, let's start the next season. You have failed the season, regardless of what happened. Regardless of what happened, you just failed. But many reasons you can say Kroenke is number one, you can say Arteta 2, players 3, injuries, whatever you want to pick. But you cannot just say, oh, context, we just won. We just didn't win a trophy because of injuries. This is what I agree with Sam.
And that's why the Carabao Cup made the blow soften a little bit last year for me. I was like, okay, at least we walked away with something.
I think, listen, I understand that. But I also think there's an element here of chronological order. And I think that Arteta and the summer and everything else, I've already said it myself. I don't need to say it again. But I think they've hung him out to dry this January. And what I mean by that is that people are quite hyperbolic and polarized at the same time when it comes to Arteta. And what I mean by that is people that don't like him all through January. I heard a lot of them say, well, I don't really want him getting any more. I don't want him to spend them to spend any more money on him because I think he's a bust. The problem with that logic is it's now left you in this position. What the club should have done is gone, we're going to buy a forward irrespective of the future of the manager because the club needs a forward. And that's where I feel like they've hung him out to dry. Whether you think he was going to succeed for the rest of this season or not, you need to always be objective about that. They should have gone out this January and bought someone. So yes, the mistakes were made in the summer by not buying another attacker, but they could have rectified that mistake in January as an example. And that for me is where I don't blame Arteta for January. You've got Moani, who is available on loan, killing it right now, by the way, at Juve. I think 4 goals in his first 5 games as an example. The Ollie Watkins situation was there. Gyökeres had a buyout clause as an example. You know, Villa went and signed players, you know. I'm not saying he's going to maintain it, but Rashford looked really sharp. I don't know if you guys noticed on Sunday. He came on and looked absolute demon. And I think he's going to do quite well there, even if it is only short term. And Arsenal need that right now. So as much as I think in the broader sense, you can say Arteta's wasted some money, he's bottled chances to win other trophies. I don't disagree with some of those things. But this January, that board have hung him and the team and the fans out to dry. It's as simple as that. They had a chance to bring in Ollie Watkins. They bid 40. They said it's £20 million more. And the board said, no, we don't value him at that height. And for me, that now looks like I use this expression a lot. That is a very cheap, but now expensive decision that they have made. That £20 million, I wonder how much that can end up costing them now. Trophies,
yeah, like the Leicester
racing,
game. If they have Nwaneri on the right, Trossard on the left, and Watkins up top, you're still gonna go like that's a banging front three. Like
they still win 90% of their games. Just be honest.
Yeah, they still win 90%.
Still win, even at 1-0. Even at 1-0, they'll win that.
And the thing is, the one thing you can't factor out is what this now does for Liverpool. It probably means Liverpool can have a bad period and get away with it.